Assalamu alaikum and welcome, dear viewers from all around the world, to another edition of your favorite program, Let's Talk, of course, on your favorite channel, Huda TV. And please don't forget to support Huda TV on facebook.com/Huda TV, on our YouTube channel as well, which you can watch all the uploaded videos, as well as online streaming, which is www.youtube.com/Huda TV. Huda TV continues to be the pioneer and the premier, inshallah, English language channel in the entire world. So please support us and help us spread this message of Islam all around the world. This evening we're going to be talking about, we're going to be welcoming the month of Shaban. As Ramadan approaches, there are signals to that, and we have to prepare ourselves. One of those signals, of course, is the month preceding it, which is Shaban. So let's talk about that, what we do in our countries to prepare for Ramadan, some of the practices in those countries, and some of the hadith relating to the month of Shaban, and what the Prophet, peace be upon him, did in that month in order to prepare himself for the month of Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. Joining me are two interesting guests from two different parts of the world. The first, we have an academic, a professor from the Gambia, although he's based here in Cairo. You have seen him on many programs before, most recently, I believe, Family Issues. Of course, I'm talking about Dr. Zaid Adib El Ansari, as well as another very interesting guest from Lebanon. He is a very influential person at onislam.net, which is a very important English language Islamic website, which I encourage you guys all to check out. And that's Brother Man Khalifa. Assalamu alaikum to you both.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
See, my Arabic is improving. Thank you so much. My Arabic is improving because I said Assalamu alaikum, which I believe is Mudhakir Muthanna. You guys, of course, we have the studio audience. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you guys so much for taking your time out to be with us. I want you guys to start out by saying your name and where you're from, and perhaps share one story or what you are doing to prepare for, or what you usually do every year to prepare for the month of Ramadan in the month of Shaban, inshallah. Go ahead, brother.
I'm Muhammad Gad. I'm originally from Cairo, Heliopolis area, but because of my studying, I'm staying in 10th of Ramadan City.
Thank you, brother, for coming. It's been a while. Welcome back.
Yes, it's my honor. I really missed everything here, especially your guests.
Barakallahu feek, brother. Can you tell us a little bit about before the month of Ramadan, as a Muslim person, how do you begin to prepare yourself for that month of fasting?
Of course, Sha'ban is the month of practicing, especially when it comes in summer. Like this Sha'ban, it's in the middle of summer, so I practice fasting because it's in summer the day is longer than the night. Also, I'm trying to get the full mark in fasting, so I'm trying to practicing lowering my gaze. I'm trying to do a lot of reciting Quran. So for me, it's the month of practicing.
Yeah, thank you, brother. You want to hit the ground running, so to speak. Thank you so much, brother. So you can pass the mic, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, brother. Thank you for coming once again.
Alhamdulillah. I'm Nabil from Egypt. I think, like my brother was saying, Sha'ban is the gate to Ramadan. You know, you can't stay unaware of time and losing ibadah and so on. And when you get first day of Ramadan, I will be good. I will fast. I will pray. No, you must prepare yourself, and it's in Ramadan is like a treasure, so you must dig deep. You must search for how to get to benefit from every minute in Ramadan. And I believe it's with Sha'ban, when you go through Sha'ban practicing, like our brother said, and preparing for what you do in Ramadan, inshallah you can benefit more, inshallah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, brother. Thank you so much. Go ahead, brother.
My name is Ahmed Wahid Ramadan. I am from Egypt. I think month of Sha'ban is a good chance to prepare myself for the month of Ramadan. Through it, we can practice fasting. Practice fasting.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Fasting, lowering your gaze, this sort of thing. All the practices that you do in Ramadan, you try to begin doing it in Shaban. Is that what you mean to say?
Okay.
Hey, brother, are you going to sing a nasheed for us, inshallah?
Inshallah.
Okay, barakallahu feek.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, brother. Go ahead.
I am Ilhami Magdi from Egypt. I think in the month Sha'ban is a chance of back to Allah.
Inshallah. Yeah, of course. Thank you, brother. Good point.
Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead.
My name is Hussein Hamid. I'm from Egypt.
Thank you, brother Hussein, for coming. I believe it's your first time.
Yeah, it is.
I believe you're a friend of Islam, aren't you?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, brother Hussein.
So basically, I think that Sha'ban is the month that we prepare for Ramadan, of course, as he said, and you can't really go from zero to top speed, you know, in just
Yeah.
one day. You have to prepare for it.
Yeah.
So
certainly.
that's what we do. We prepare by, you know, just mentally preparing ourselves.
Yeah,
That's what Shaban is for me.
Yeah, great point, brother. That's a great point. You can't go from zero to full speed. Well, perhaps you can, but it's not safe. It's not good. Go ahead, brother Islam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for coming, brother.
I'm Islam, Egyptian. And about Shaban, I think it's a good chance to practice fasting. And in Shaban, I fast Mondays and Thursdays. Although I regret not fasting it the whole year, but I think it's a good start.
Yeah, okay. Sure. That's a great point. You know, we have to kickstart and get going in the month of Shaban, inshallah. I know that we spoke a little bit about, before the episode, about a lot of inauthentic information regarding the month of Shaban, but perhaps before we get into that, we can talk about the authentic information, and perhaps you guys can share some stories about the month of Shaban and Ramadan in your native country, the Gambia, as well as your native country, Lebanon, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You know, Shaban, according to Aisha radiallahu anha, she witnessed the Prophet fasting more in the month of Shaban than any other time, other than Ramadan. And I think this is a good lesson for us. We can learn by example. For instance, in Gambia and in many places in West Africa in general, people begin to prepare for Ramadan because they know, in Shaban, because they know changing habits. We've accumulated these habits, bad habits, unfortunately,
Right.
all year long. Eating too much, not lowering the gaze, not paying attention to Quran, not praying in the Jama'ah in the masjid. And these habits take a while for us to readjust.
Certainly.
You know, it's almost like one of the brothers said, you know, you can't go from zero to top speed in one day, nor can you churn a steamliner quickly. You have to turn it gradually. So this is the time we turn our internal focus back towards pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in doing things that are pleasing to Allah, that don't benefit Allah but benefit us. And we need practice for that.
Of course.
So, you know, it's such, you know, if you look at the course of your life and the year, you know, and you look at the opportunity that Ramadan gives us every year, it's such a big opportunity that preparation for 30 days before it, you know, the Sahaba used to prepare from Eid to Eid.
The entire year.
For the entire year, for Ramadan.
Yes, subhanAllah. Barakallahu feek. Thank you for your thoughts. Brother Man, that was an excellent point, especially regarding the fact that all year long we eat and we drink and we lose sight of what's important. Then Ramadan comes and it's kind of like starting something cold turkey, you know, for lack of a better term. It's hard to get into it, so you waste a week or 10 days in Ramadan sometimes just getting into it. So this is how Shaban can come in, right?
Right, to adjust a little bit. But I want to focus on a different aspect, you know, because brothers already covered quite a bit about, you know, how you prepare for
Right.
Ramadan. As a person who received lots of questions, there's two questions that come up all the time. One is, can we fast from Sha'ban all the way to the Ramadan, and then, you know, just break the fast on the Eid day, then do the 6 days
Right,
of
Right, of Shawwal.
Shawwal. This is one question that comes up quite often.
Okay.
The other question that comes up is, you know, is there anything special that we do on the 15th of Sha'ban?
Right.
You know, the Nusf Sha'ban.
Right.
And this, you know, I'm not here to tell people what to do or what not to do, but I want to clarify where these came from
Okay.
and why people, you know, tend to think that, you know, they have to do that or the other.
But
You
brother,
know.
just to clarify, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You receive these questions through your website?
Right, through our
Okay.
websites.
Okay.
So we have, you know, some questions are, I'm the editor of Ask About Islam,
Okay.
and I'm not
supposed to be receiving fatwa questions, but I do receive quite a bit of fatwa
Inevitable. They always
You know?
come, right?
because we have a fatwa, department, so people that have, there's many people around the world that answer the questions.
Okay.
But these small issues we can always dig into and
Right.
give an answer.
Okay.
Like the brother mentioned, we can mention the hadith clearly from what's authentic.
Right,
And this
right.
is only what from my research is only one hadith that is authentic about this,
Okay.
which the brother mentioned.
Okay.
And I can narrate it. It's narrated by An-Nasa'i and Abu Dawood,
Okay.
and classed as Sahih by Ibn Khuzaymah.
Okay.
According to which Usama bin Zayd said, I said, O Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I do not see you fasting in any month more than in Sha'ban. He said, that is a month concerning which many people are heedless, between Rajab and Ramadan. It is the month in which people's deeds are taken up to Allah. And I would like my deeds to be taken up whilst I am fasting. We have to note something here. First, it is commended to fast the mid days of any month.
Okay.
Yes.
And it happens to be, mid of Sha'ban is the middle of the month.
Right. Right.
So if somebody fasts on that day, there's no problem because, the Prophet ﷺ did fast on the 3 days.
Any lunar month, right?
Any
of the
lunar month,
3 white
yeah,
days,
we're not
right?
talking,
Okay.
we know, the mid of the lunar month,
Okay.
the 13th, 14th, and 15th of those lunar months, we are recommended to fast those days, as well as Mondays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Now here, these are not something obligatory.
Right,
This
of
is
course.
something that a Muslim can do, can practice any month of the year
Inshallah.
and any week of the year, because saying Mondays and Thursdays.
Okay.
So
Great.
the other point here is to look at that this is a practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
So,
Now, obviously, we would like to follow his practice, but he fasted most of the month. Now, it's a bit difficult for us sometimes to think that we can fast most of a month.
Yeah,
We can fast
certainly does.
Ramadan, but other than Ramadan,
it's difficult.
I haven't seen too many people do that.
Yeah.
Even though some do, like I said, there's some people that fast those 3 months,
The 3 days every month.
starting from Rajab and then ending with Ramadan.
Subhanallah.
That's quite a bit, but it's a burden. I mean, people ask those questions because it's quite a burden.
It's difficult
not
for
easy.
some of us, right? Yeah.
It's in this time and age, it's quite hard. You see, you note that the Prophet ﷺ also prayed at night. So it's mentioned in the
Yes.
hadith that he prayed. One time he read Surah Baqarah, he read Al Imran and Surah An-Nisa in one night. The
Right.
Tahajjud prayer.
Subhanallah.
So obviously, no Muslim nowadays can do that. If someone maybe can do it maybe once in their lifetime, it's wonderful. But
Yeah.
I would even doubt that someone can do that once in their lifetime.
Yeah, sure.
And he didn't tell us to follow him, even though one companion, did follow him. But in the middle, he was saying, I was almost going to quit because it was too long. Not only the reading was too long, but the ruku' and the sujood were too long. So here we can see that his practice, the Prophet ﷺ's practice, maybe is a bit too, he did things that are a little bit, maybe too much for a regular Muslim.
Maybe for those of us, it would be difficult to reach that level.
Right. So that, because some people want to fast the whole months. It's
Right,
the
right.
idea to say that's
Right.
that's not what
It's
he
meant
did.
here.
He
Sure.
did. Yeah, he did fast most of the month.
Right.
How much of the month we don't know exactly.
Right.
He didn't recommend. He didn't say for his ummah to do that.
Right.
He did it himself.
Sure.
So this is the point. He did
Yeah.
things himself. He didn't say you must do it.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh,
But
go ahead.
if we could, if we look at Shaban as not, like a burden where we have to fast a lot, we could look at it as perhaps an opportunity to gear ourselves up for Ramadan. I know myself, a lot of times it takes me 7-8 days to really start feeling it, and then the end of Ramadan comes, and I said, geez, I wish I was more prepared in the beginning because I spent the year not preparing myself. And I think most Muslims are in that position. And like you said, brother, preparation, behavioral practices, isn't it? This is behavioral training, isn't it?
Yes.
Getting ready for
Yes.
the month of Ramadan by increasing your prayers and your fasting in the month before.
And then when you connect the correct knowledge with it, you know, if you look at the reason why people do things or don't do things, because we don't a lot of times know the benefit of a thing.
Certainly.
And so, you know, if you see people that oversleep, for instance, Salatul Fajr, they don't understand the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam of the fawaid, the benefit that you would receive by praying Fajr at its time. And so you have to weigh this practice of fasting in Shaban against, for me, two things I have to remind myself of. Do I have sufficient knowledge about the benefits of doing this in Shaban? And do I connect this to the outcome that I'm expecting from what I'm doing in Ramadan?
Right, right.
So, you know, it just takes a little bit of, you know, pushing yourself to think deeply and broadly about what we've been promised. As our brother just said, if, you know, people that come with these questions, can I fast this period, or should I specialize, point out the 15th for a particular day? You know, we're all looking for rewards from Allah. And when they're authentic from the tongue of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we can gear ourselves up to do this in a way that's consistent with what we expect.
Right, okay, right. Action without knowledge is not what we're looking for. We want to have knowledge coupled with action.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent point. Brother Man, also, I think sometimes in the month of Ramadan, we look at it entirely from a physical perspective. I'm not eating or drinking. We fail to look at it from an intellectual perspective, as you mentioned, and even a spiritual perspective. So perhaps after the break, we can get your thoughts on that, inshallah.
Sure.
You guys will take a short break.
Yeah.
We'll be back speaking more about Shaban and Ramadan, inshallah, so don't go anywhere.
I'm calling your name.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Let's Talk. We're speaking about, rather, we are welcoming the month of Shaban, inshallah ta'ala, which is should be upon us soon, inshallah, as well as the month of Ramadan with my two good friends from Gambia and Lebanon. So it's an interesting mix, as well as our studio audience from Egypt. So we're having a multicultural, inshallah, discussion here. And before the break, I want to speak a little bit about Ramadan, as just a lot of us, including myself, sometimes we lose sight of this. We just think it's a physical thing. What I'm not doing, I'm not eating, I'm not drinking. That's what Ramadan means, not eating, not drinking. So we lose sight of the intellectual aspect, as you mentioned, as well as a spiritual aspect. So perhaps we can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, initially, you know, what every Muslim needs to do is understand the laws of fasting.
Yes.
You know, how we're supposed to fast properly, so when we do it, we're not losing on, it's like prayer.
Right.
If you don't do your wudu before prayer, you know, you're not gonna, you know, your prayer is not accepted.
Right.
The same thing for fasting. And there are lots of, you know, if you go on Islam.net, you find an ebook on Ramadan.
MashaAllah.
It's addressing every aspect of Ramadan.
Okay.
Whether you're traveling, you know, all these things that
Yeah.
happen in our day-to-day life. The other aspect is, like you said, the spirit of Ramadan. You know, we're not only abstaining from food and drink and sex but you know, our mind. We also
Yes.
have to adjust, and our hearts, our eyes and ears.
Yeah,
you know.
certainly.
So, like the brothers have said, this is a training for them to lower the gaze.
Right.
Because many times you only remember that when you're fasting.
Right.
You know, you're looking and saying, I'm fasting.
Yeah, subhanAllah. Yeah, yeah. Great. That's an excellent point. I couldn't agree with you more.
The other thing about Ramadan, and any actually this is a practice of any Muslim, is to practice charity.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
But more in Ramadan or in the times of fasting.
Okay.
Any day of fasting, because this is the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, that he did that, especially during Ramadan. He was exceptionally
Of course, yeah, in this month of Ramadan, inshallah.
He was exceptionally charitable in the
Ramadan,
month of Ramadan.
I certainly think that Ramadan changes the soul and the spirit, doesn't it?
Yes.
Especially when you're in the middle of it fasting. You know, there was we work with one gentleman. He's a little bit, you know, let's say a little bit, you know, he's rough a little bit, you know. And so in the month of Ramadan, someone said, "What happened to so and so? You're just really nice." And the other guy said, "It's Ramadan, yahi." Everybody's affected by this in the month of Ramadan, you know.
Exactly.
But I know you had a question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the first question, I think, but I'm not sure. The last day of Sha'ban, I mustn't fast. I wanted to get the correct information. I mustn't fast. Like it's recommended to fast in the middle of our Islamic moons. It's recommended to not fast at the last day of Sha'ban. The second question?
No, I mean, I'm just answering you logically. I'm not qualified to give you a fatwa. There's lots of, you know, there are more qualified people. You can go also ask the same questions on our website, on islam.net, and there's a button that says Ask the Scholar. So you can ask the same question.
That's great.
Now, from what I just read, I said, you know, the Prophet ﷺ used to fast most of Sha'ban. And the last day of Sha'ban is part of Sha'ban. So I would say it's fine to fast the last day of Sha'ban. What's not recommended is not to fast the whole month. Okay.
Yeah, subhanallah.
So since it's part of Sha'ban, why not? You know?
And I did.
But again, to be sure, go on Islam.net and.
Maybe a rule.
You
I
know,
think.
you know, I did hear Dr. Muhammad Salah say, you know, I don't know either, but I did hear Dr. Muhammad Salah, he said something like, you don't want to fast the day before the month of Ramadan because you need to make a division between the two months, number one.
No.
Number two, he said, I think if I remember correctly, he said, don't fast in the last days of Shaban unless you're a regular faster. But I don't know. Like you said, go to onislam.net or ask the Sheikh at 8 p.m. Ask Huda.
But you know what is amazing from the question the brother just asked is it just brought to my mind how formal with nidam Islam is.
Yes.
Just how much we are given the opportunity for specific details in how to do everything. And you look at the informality of the world, where people can do anything they want to do at any time and name it something sacred when it has no relationship to improving their life in this world without even consideration of the hereafter.
Right, of course.
But we are given just, you know, how to prepare, not just Ramadan, but how the details, the nidam of how to prepare ourselves, the tartib, in Shaban. And just, this is a marvelous religion.
Yes.
That we are given so many opportunities to get it right. And, you know, it's not, as you said, it's not about the abstaining from physical food and drink, but to get the internal world that troubles us right, that it should be focused on worshiping Allah, polishing the character, lowering the gaze, and all these wonderful things that make us better human beings. We're giving specific details on how to do this.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
It's just amazing to me.
Even the aspect of organizing our daily life, isn't it, with the 5 prayers?
Yes.
The organization of our daily life now, it's amazing, you know, and I really appreciate that after becoming Muslim. You have a set routine every day. You can rely on that, and you can expect that, and it is absolutely amazing. And also I'd like to add, if we fast the month of Ramadan, and then we go back to the same negative behaviors immediately after the month of Ramadan, I feel like Ramadan has not really penetrated your heart, perhaps. You just went through perhaps the superficial motions, and you didn't really let it enter your heart. If you go back immediately, if you don't finish Ramadan a changed man or woman, I think this is problematic. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree. On the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is open for forgiveness at any time. So many people get disappointed.
Yeah.
So when they commit sins, they get disappointed, and then they kind of tend to stay away from sometimes prayer, sometimes even fasting. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there to, and you know, to
Yes.
forgive.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So this is a very, very important point that Allah is awaiting our forgiveness, and He's expecting us to commit sins. We weren't, He didn't make us, He didn't create us to be angels.
Perfect. Yeah, of course.
Because the angels, as we know, they are when they just follow what Allah orders them to do.
Of course.
But the ins and the jinn, and they have the free will to choose between what's good and what's not good.
And thank you for mentioning that. I always hear Dr. Muhammad Sallallahu say, if you made the same sin many, 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 many times, just make a correct intention not to do it again, and try not to do it again. And if you do it again, ask Allah for forgiveness again, and you can keep repeating this because Allah is waiting for your repentance.
But isn't that the nature of human beings?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're creatures of good habits and creatures of bad habits. And so, we operate on an automatic pilot. Most of the things that we do, we just do them until somebody brings us to our attention. Why are you doing that?
Right. We've programmed ourselves in good and bad ways.
Yes.
Yeah, subhanAllah. So we have to program ourselves in a good way in the month of Shaban.
And then connect the internal world of intent, the heart, the internal motivation to the body.
Right.
Because if the body is practicing abstention for 30 days, and those internal drivers are not connected to the intent in the heart, and people fall back, as the brother just correctly said, if they fall back into sin, Allah is there to forgive us. But if we can help it by making this connection, we will reach a higher rank the next year. Who I was last year, I'm hoping that next year I won't be that same Zayd. I'll be better. I'll be a better Zayd.
Yeah.
And then the next year I'll be better because we have something in this religion daily, monthly, weekly, and yearly to improve us.
Yes, subhanAllah. And also, I really appreciate what you mentioned about the intellectually, you have to be aware of what you're doing, or else you will miss out on the benefit. If you don't have the understanding, then the action isn't going to be as beneficial. Because we do see here, especially in the Middle East, many of us are going through the motions without perhaps the right intention or mindset. So we have to definitely keep that in mind. But I think you had another question.
Just like the first question.
Hold the mic up, inshallah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just like the first question, but also it's good to not fast on Fridays. So the rule is still in Sha'ban. It's good to not fast on Fridays.
Okay, so inshallah, you know what? You can go online to that onislam.net and ask the scholar.
Yes,
press
ask
the
the scholar.
Okay.
But in general, if you do fast Fridays, you fast the day before or the day after. This is the general rule. But if there's no occasion to fast, Friday is considered like a Eid for us. One other thing to consider, many people we receive questions like this from sisters. The brother is fasting most of the time or lots of times and is neglecting some of his duties.
Right.
Islam is balanced, and we have to have a balanced view.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So if somebody is doing something, over, you should, think about it.
Yes.
Okay, I have Mondays and Thursdays, and I have the middle of the month.
Right.
I mean, 3 days in the middle of the lunar month.
Yeah.
What else am I looking for?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it shouldn't be enough to suffice, inshallah. Or you can at least start with that, inshallah. That's a lot.
I mean, that's quite a bit.
Yes,
it's quite a bit.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, without question. Let's talk about the month of Ramadan itself in your native country, Egypt. Tell us about some things, some cultural practices, perhaps some drinks or food, some things that Taraweeh prayer, some things that make Ramadan in Egypt special, inshallah.
It's special since beginning of Sha'ban, and it's special in Rajab also, because it's like everybody's anticipating Ramadan. It's like the clock is ticking. Ramadan is coming. We are ready. We are ready.
Yeah, right.
Everybody, even the media, even the TV, is starting broadcasting commercial about TV series and some programs,
right,
music program, something like that for Ramadan to take you away from the masjid, starting, they are preparing themselves. No, don't worry about it. But especially about Ramadan, we feel it in the air, It's something I really love about here in Egypt, and same experience back in Saudi when I was there. it's something in the air, you know. When it's first night of Ramadan, you feel it come in the air. The people, you know, treating each other, you know, it's something very spiritual here,
Yeah, of
intellectual,
course.
very, you know, it's very high that you can feel it, you can
Yeah.
touch it, you know.
What about the moment when you just prayed Maghrib, you just prayed Isha on the last night of Ramadan, and everybody's waiting to see what the Mufti is going to say, and then he says, Ramadan is finished. Tomorrow is the first day of Shawwal. How does that make you feel, that moment? I always remember that moment.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Wallah, isn't it something?
Yeah.
It's very sad.
It's, you know, isn't it amazing? Before Islam, if you would have told me we're going to not eat and drink, I would say this is why. It's very difficult. But then when you as a Muslim now, when the Mufti makes that comment, when he says Ramadan is now over, you feel like your heart drops.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Not only is it sad in terms of what you've trained yourself to feel for the last 30 days, but some of the people, you see the shift in their behavior immediately. You know, my first experience in the Gulf, I lived in the Emirat, in Ras Al Khaimah. And I remember we were waiting to hear the announcement, whether there was a sighting, right? And I was in the car. And the minute they said that there will be the Eid the next morning, the people who were sitting at a traffic light, they took off, they went through the light. They went through the light. And people started driving like, you know, something was chasing them. And it saddened me even worse because I said, look how we behaved. For 30 days, practicing sabr, practicing sadaqah, practicing, you know, mawadda, you know, bainana, between us. And the minute we find we have to go back to, you know, our normal practices, it's like we just take off all of these beautiful garments. So I think there's a lesson there.
It's like charging your batteries during Ramadan, and then at the end of Ramadan, you're discharging it all of a sudden.
Yeah, yeah.
And the person who, like you mentioned, you are sad because you feel it's going to be discharged slowly.
Yes.
Yes.
And you feel sad, you know.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what happens, isn't it, to many of us, even with a good intention. You know, I've seen people, after they share prayer, I saw one man crying. I said, this man, mashallah, this man is very sad to see the month of Ramadan go. And like you said, you know, maybe he's sad because there is like a discharge throughout the year. So, and who knows if Allah will grant another Ramadan. You know, who knows if you're going to see another. Yeah, yeah, subhanAllah.
And you know, it's a opportunity for us to enter Allah's paradise.
Yeah,
Yes.
subhanAllah.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
And we're gonna
Everybody is seeking this eternal bliss. The whole world is actually seeking that through their own ways.
yeah, of course, subhanAllah.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the opportunities throughout the year to enter His paradise.
SubhanAllah.
Even daily, through the daily prayers, as long as we avoid al-kaba'ir, the major sins,
Kabair.
then we are in this safe zone.
Inshallah ta'ala,
We
yes.
should feel happy and proud about it.
Rabata, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. You guys stay tuned for more Let's Talk. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Let's Talk. We're actually welcoming Shaban. However, we began speaking about Ramadan in anticipation and excitement. In the break, you both shared some interesting stories. Perhaps we can start, brother, with the story in the Gambia. You said if you don't make it home before Maghrib, what happens in the month of Ramadan?
In the month of Ramadan, you know, in many neighborhoods, if you don't make it home before Maghrib, you won't get home because of the people, you know, tanafus, competing,
MashaAllah.
so you can come and eat with them.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
even though they're very miskeen,
SubhanAllah.
very miskeen,
Yeah.
and they have what they have, you know, they would rather see you eat it than eat it themselves.
Yeah, this is the spirit and the beauty of it, subhanAllah. And
Yes.
also, brother, you shared a wonderful story about itikaf in Medina. Please
Yes,
share that
and
with the viewers.
So that I was saying the first day of my etikaf, you know, going to the masjid just before Maghrib to break fast. I was surprised to have two brothers, you know, pull my hands at the same time, you know, left and right hand, and I wasn't aware of what was going on till I found out they're actually trying to take me with them to break fast.
MashaAllah.
And they say, no, I grabbed him first. No, you no, I grabbed him first. And
What
then I had to choose. I said, okay, I decide. I choose.
But what about itikaf in Medina? They bring you what type of things to eat and drink?
Oh, you know, from dates to yogurt to even some type of bread that you dip with the yogurt.
Okay, mashallah.
The coffee, you know, the light coffee.
Yeah, the Saudi
it's,
coffee.
Saudi coffee.
Yeah. Great.
You know, people bring so many different things, but amazingly,
You brothers are making me
they wrap everything up before the prayer as if nothing happened. It's all cleaned up.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then, you know, you'll be counting at least 50 to 60,000 people have eaten
Yeah,
in
it's
that
amazing.
short time.
Yeah, it's amazing. That goes back to the organization. That's the amazing part, right?
Yes.
Lining up, eating at the same time, lining up to pray.
You know, I've
That's
often wondered about that. I've often wondered. I've been to the masjid in Medina, in Masjid al-Nabawi, but I've never eaten there. And I've watched it on Huda, you know, the live,
Yeah.
Mubashir.
Yes.
And I've wondered, how do they get all of these people fed and cleaned up? By the time of the iqamah, you don't see anything.
Yeah, it is amazing. And even when you watch just the Iqamah, how everybody from different countries, different languages, boom, when the Iqamah is called, they all
Yes.
answer the call to prayer.
But I did find out how, because I stayed there for 10 days, almost 10 days. And that's, each section is organized by a family. And this family is responsible for that section.
Okay.
And they have everything set up, Somebody distributes the food, somebody picks it up, and, it's all well organized.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
Yes.
So it's, I was really, amazed and, like very proud to see
Yes.
Muslims behave this way.
Yes.
Oh, yes, subhanAllah. Also, yeah, I have a friend from Cameroon. He's actually a Fulani background. He invited me to his home and made a Ramadan iftar for me. And we had a lot of amazing food, including the plantains, which are fried. Can you speak a little bit about, I don't want to make you any more hungry, but to speak about the food a little bit in Gambia that people use to break their fast with?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's amazing, the food in Gambia, because it's on the sea, a lot of it is seafood.
Oh, great.
And there's a main dish that we have. It's called jibijin. It's a mixture of plankton and a fish that you can't find any place in the world except for in the Gambia.
MashaAllah.
And usually we serve some lamb or goat with it.
Okay.
And the amazing thing is we have huge crabs and prawn. And we cook the crab and the prawn with every dish.
Okay.
And until you get used to it, it gives a very strange flavor to all the food.
Okay.
But it's, we have jollof, a rice, a broken rice. It's a half rice. And another big thing is we like hot food.
Okay.
And we have something called, I forget what they call it here in Egypt, but in Senegal they call it bissap.
Okay.
And we call it wanju. It's the hibiscus.
Oh, yeah, karkadi.
Karkadi.
Yeah, I love that. It's very nice, yeah.
Yes.
Also, briefly, my friend from Cameroon, he told me they have a lot of wonderful shrimp there, and the name Cameroon comes from the Portuguese name for shrimp, which is Camarus or something like that.
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
Yes. No, our prawn, and I'm not exaggerating. Our prawn, I went to a brother's house once. I'll give you this. It's in Ramadan. And I was, it was a summer Ramadan where the Maghrib was like 9:15.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And Fajr was like, 3:45.
Oh, man.
And I felt like I had everything drained out of me. And I heard him tell his wife, brothers are going to have iftar with us, so cook two prawn with the rice. And I'm thinking to myself,
Okay, cook more
I'm
than that.
hungry.
Right.
Why just two prawn?
Right.
Until his wife brought out the dish. The prawn are the size of my fist.
Okay.
My fist.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
And she just chopped them up. And there was plenty for everyone.
Yeah, subhanAllah. Excellent point. Okay, yes, gives you an idea of how big they are.
Yes.
And I want to go to the studio audience and talk about Ramadan in your country, and then after that, I want you to speak about Ramadan in Lebanon, inshallah. Go ahead, perhaps. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, yeah. Share Ramadan in your country.
I have something to share. There is a lot actually to share about Ramadan in Egypt. There is a lot. But one of the very important thing that although in Egypt there is a lot of poor people, but in Ramadan no one sleep hungry. Really, no one sleep hungry. It began with Ma'idat al-Rahman. A lot of people who live in not Islamic country don't know Ma'idat al-Rahman. It's called al-Rahman, one of the names of Allah. And Ma'idah is table. At the time of iftar, you will find the free restaurants everywhere in any city in Egypt and all over the Islamic countries. You can say like in 1 kilometers, 2 or 3 Ma'idat Rahman.
Yeah, mashallah.
Also, one of the things that the Islamic families do in Egypt, my mother cook a dish for us, for the family, and she cook a dish, we call it a dish for Allah. This dish, we give it to any charity organization like Risala or something, and they know how to give it to the most poor people. Then, so this is one of the most. This is really Ramadan. We feel the poor people. We have the bliss. The bliss go to every poor people in Egypt.
Yeah,
I really see.
That's amazing. Thank you, brother. It's really touching. I have a nice story about Ramadan in Egypt as well. Just being on the bus, breaking the fast. The driver, nobody had any water. The driver shared his water with us. A couple people had a couple dates. We just broke them in half and everybody ate. And it was something very satisfying about that because we all want to be home with our family, but we were in traffic on the way. So we just broke fast with these totally complete strangers. And we're very pleased with that. And so God bless you. And everybody went home. Yeah. But what about Ramadan in Lebanon, inshallah?
I think it's not that much different from Egypt, with the exception not too many Ma'idat al-Rahman. There are, people that do this. That they serve the public, but it's not as much as Egypt. I haven't seen, any country that does the same as Egypt so far, as I know. The Ramadan is mostly maybe family, family time where you go break fast at this cousin's house or the other cousin's house and so on. So it's sharing with the family and with friends.
MashaAllah, right.
And Taraweeh is obviously, the same all over the world. It's we have the same practice.
Of course.
Many qaris and mostly graduates from Egypt.
Yeah, mashallah. They come to recite Quran in the month of Ramadan.
Right.
I feel like in the Middle East, we have a strong emphasis on sweets and sugar and food, especially here in the Arabic-speaking world. I mean, the baklava, the kunafa, it's like so important. When Maghrib comes, a lot of us, we have this massive meal immediately, and then we get tired and we don't pray Maghrib or Isha, in the masjid. This is problematic, of course, for many reasons. Does this happen in your native country, the Gambia, as well?
Actually, no. The typical food at iftar, because we have a lot of mango and we have cashew, the nuts.
Right.
So we eat something like what you would call a porridge. It's a thick cream of wheat.
Right. Yes, exactly. Porridge, right.
It's a porridge. And then we have the mangoes
right.
and some tea. And then people eat this quickly and then go to the masjid.
Okay.
And pray Maghrib and Isha and then come home and eat.
Great. And then they go back to pray Taraweeh.
Yes.
I really would love in Ramadan to see them delay the Taraweeh a little bit, because when you go to the masjid to pray Isha, that immediately he will pray Taraweeh, which, I just wish that there was a time between that. Because it makes it difficult, because you want to break your fast at Maghrib, and then Isha comes very quickly, then Taraweeh comes very quickly. I wish they could space that out. Is that how it is in Lebanon? The Taraweeh prayer is prayed immediately after
Isha? After the Isha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think, because people want to finish the Taraweeh and then go home and rest. And
yeah, sure.
It's a regular day of work, and they have to go to work. Unlike most Muslim countries, in Lebanon, they don't have a shortened day for Ramadan.
Yes, here in the Middle East, right? Yeah.
they have a regular day like anywhere else.
Yeah, of course, and yeah, the regular day like anywhere else. So, and you mentioned in the Gambia 3:45 to 9:15 in one summer.
That one summer, yes.
And I want you to talk, if you can, speak about Ramadan in San Francisco. We have this in common. You did live in San Francisco for a short
Alhamdulillah,
time.
yes.
And did you fast Ramadan there?
I did.
Tell us about
I
it.
fasted, I think, 3 Ramadans in San Francisco.
Oh, mashallah, that's great.
It was actually, I was in heaven because I'm a seafood eater.
Mashallah. Perfect place. So you're right down the
Perfect
bay in the
place.
ocean.
And I worked close to the Embarcadero.
Okay.
And so I would just time it, you know, because I would catch I would catch the ferry. I took the ferry back to Vallejo.
Okay. Perfect.
And so I'd run to the Jones Street Masjid
Yes.
and grab a dinner and take it with me, and grab some shrimp or some clam or something from one of the places in the Embarcadero.
Do you remember those bread bowl soups I love?
Yes.
I really miss that. You know, I really, it's a delicious little, it's a piece of bread that's hollowed out, and the clam chowder soup is put in there. And it's very warm, and you eat the soup within the bread.
Yes.
So you had a wonderful time in San Francisco. I did as well. And one beautiful thing about being in the Muslim countries is you have the brotherhood with the entire country. However, in San Francisco or any non-Muslim country where the majority of the people are not Muslims, you do feel, you strike a very strong bond, don't you, with the people, with the Muslim people. You remember them, you see them. You have a very strong brotherhood.
And the different foods
Yeah.
from the different cultures.
Yeah.
I used to love that.
Yeah, of course. I certainly, I couldn't agree with you more, and I certainly appreciate your time, Brother Zaid, Adib, and Ansari, and I certainly hope to have you on the program in the future, inshallah ta'ala.
Alhamdulillah, barakallahu feekum.
Barakallahu feek.
It's
Really
always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. And Brother Emmanuel, I also appreciate your time from onislam.net. I know your website is very busy, and you're getting a lot of emails and a lot of things to do there. So thank you for taking time to be with us, inshallah.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much. And also, you guys don't go anywhere. Actually, the episode isn't quite over yet. We're going to go out with the nasheed about the month of Shaban. So check it out.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I am Ahmad Wahid. I'm a poet and writer. What you're gonna hear now is an Islamic nasheed about the month of Shaban. It is written and tuned by me. I hope you like it. Make good use of months of Shaban. Read Quran as much as you can. Prepare yourself for Ramadan. Our deeds are raised in this blessed month. So pray and fast, don't waste the chance. Only in this life you live for once. O Muslim, catch hold of months of Shaban. It has many merits, obey Allah's Rahman. It's months of bridges between Rajab and Ramadan. So fast establish prayer, read the Quran, read the Quran. Follow Muhammad and obey his teaching. No good in following except his preaching. So don't neglect Muhammad's teaching. Abide by Sunnah, cast any innovation. If you don't know, ask scholars a nation. They will give you edification. O Muslim, catch hold of months of Ramadan, months of Shaban. It has many merits, obey Allah's Rahman. It's a month of bridges between Rajab and Ramadan. So fast and establish prayer and read Quran, and read Quran, and read Quran.